All right, everybody, another surf report. And this one is another powerful week, but more mental than anything. We're in the last quarter moon cycle, so things are supposed to be drawing down, but somehow we have an I-Ching that says pushing upward. And I have this opinion that the upward is more of supermind. It's literally going up into the quantum mind. Here's what our overview chart looks like. Still have the dream bot, but it is coming along. More on that later. The I-Ching says pushing upward, and then, initially I thought, oh boy, here we go again. More yang energy. But that turns out to not be so true, especially when I read the change line 2, that puts everything into context. It's a literal going upward into the mind, and that's where the power is unlocked this week. Look at this. By the end of our surf week, you've got 2 conjunctions that are happening at the same time, and this is within maybe a day and a half of the new moon. So we get to this massive Gemini, but these alignments here are supermind, and I'm going to talk all about them. One of them is Venus Cazimi. The other one is Mercury and Jupiter, and they're both parallel as well as conjunct. So incredible high congruency score. Can't wait to show you this stuff. And big shout out to Isis Toktarman. Did I say that right? Big shout out. Best comment of the week. It wasn't just me that appreciated this comment. If you add comfrey to your foot, it's called bone knit. And I do have comfrey. I'm ready, but I need a confirmation x-ray today to make sure the bones are still straight. Then I'm going all in on this comfrey as well as some other things. But I do appreciate your comments. And apparently, as evidenced by your win here, other people appreciate it as well. So thank you. And then a close second with 6 is worthy of note here. CJ Star Monkey. I'm not such a full-on Gemini at 620, but I am the summer solstice this year. I'm not a sun sign Gemini, but I got a whole bunch of important Gemini in my natal chart. So I do resonate deeply with my fellow Geminis. I have an ascendant, and I also have a moon on the ascendant in Gemini. All right, normally I do the dream bot, but we'll skip that. And we are here in the grand scheme of things. We are finishing up a Taurus new moon cycle, and we're going to have a Gemini new moon in our next surf report. It'll be day number 1 on that next report. So this obviously is the last quarter moon in this phase. Bigger picture, we're even in this energy window number 9, and that's roughly a 3-week window called the Cosmic Cocktail Social. I highly encourage you to go review that energy window so that you can get the kind of the feeling or the archetype, the overview of what this window offers. This surf week, we've got 2 days left in May, but I want to give you an overview of June really quick. And the biggest ones are going to be the new moon on the 6th that I just discussed, the Gemini one. And then after the sun transits into Cancer, we're going to have a full moon in Capricorn on the 21st. And that's going to be a first of 2 full moon Capricorns. You don't get a whole lot of these same back-to-back full moons, but Capricorns are lucky this year. Congratulations to you guys. That'll be on the 21st, the first of 2 full moon in Capricorns. The next big event that you need to be aware of in June is on the 17th, and it's when Venus and Mercury literally on the same azimuth and the same elevation, same inclination, leave hand in hand in a almost perfect conjunction, and they go into Cancer together. So here's their inclination on the 17th, and that denotes the change from the energy window. So that's why The energy window is a pretty quick change, even though the sun remains in Gemini during that energy window change. It's got the background changes, the whole context gets a lot more emotional. I called it emotional mayhem. That's energy window number 10. But for our current week, what we're looking at is a whole lot of activity with Mercury, and that's ironic because Mercury is not even in Gemini yet, but the emphasis is Gemini. Mercury happens to be the ruler and will eventually make his way into Gemini after all these really amazing other alignments, and then create a perfect conjunction with Jupiter. And I say perfect because the inclination is there, right there. And we'll look at all that. But there's this powerful trine over to Pluto happening on the 4th, exactly the same time. So a lot happening with Mercury and a whole lot happening with Gemini. Here's your graph for this week. And this is just the Quantum-SuperMind rising. This is the energy rising up to the mind and clarifying things. You got the mutable air and the background signature starts here. And then you have this activity with Mercury. I just didn't put them all in here, but ultimately Mercury goes into Gemini and creates a massive mutable air, lots of planets in Gemini. A lot of these conjunctions are very special. We'll get into those. And then the new moon on the next one. So this line is representing the rise of mental acuity, mental activity, Quantum-SuperMind. Will extend most likely into the next CIRF report because of that new moon. So here are all week, you're going to have here are the main alignments. So we have Venus and Sun in both azimuth and inclination are closing in on each other. And I'm basically going to cover these as they perfect. The first one that we're going to talk about is Mercury and Uranus. They're going to collide. I believe it's the following day. But this one chart is the last quarter moon, and it just happens to be at 12 p.m. Central Daylight Time on the 30th of May. And this is important because it seems like a contradiction. If you look at the I-Ching pushing upward, pushing outward, the last quarter moon is the opposite, pushing inward, not pushing, pulling. Really, it's a yin activity. That phase, that whole last phase for roughly 1 week until the new moon is really meant to rejuvenate and really slow down and reflect. Reflect and rejuvenate, but reflect is a mental activity. And so there's your overlap. We're going to be, the energy is rising up to mind. We're going to be hopefully doing a lot less, putting out a lot less yang, and then giving us this gift of Quantum-SuperMind will make the most of our last quarter or waning crescent moon activity. And then other alignments later on, you're going to see Mercury and Jupiter. Already mentioned those. And then when Mercury goes into Gemini, we'll be looking at this trine down to Pluto. So let's get started with Friday, and we're going to be looking at Mercury and Uranus conjunct. That happens in the wee hours of the night, 12:53 a.m. Central Daylight Savings Time. And this happens in Taurus. So it's right here. And it really is electric. It's a channeling brilliant flashes of insight and invention into tangible, earthy, Taurian form, like a lightning rod rooted deeply into the earth. And immediately I was thinking more like electroculture with this archetype. It's like an astrological placement allows for safe grounding and practical application of Uranian jolts of genius, creativity, and change. This is part of the supermind. In fact, you won't find any one of these archetypes that we'll talk about with these alignments that doesn't have anything to do with supermind. I mean, even the Venus Cazimi later is in Gemini. So very applicable. But anyway, the Mercury and Uranus will feel a lot like sudden breakthroughs in perception, understanding, maybe some problem solving, heightened ability to receive downloads of insight. It's the invention alignment, especially in Taurus. So inventions around like gardening and grounded nature kind of things, liberation from limiting thought patterns and mental conditioning. But we might have a tendency towards mental restlessness or overstimulation with Mercury and Uranus together. The fact that it's in Taurus might slow that down a little bit and ground it. I did have a picture. There's your kind of highway to insight, and these sparks of insight are from that Uranus aspect. And obviously, mind is Mercury. On Saturday, we have a growing signature back in the background, mutable air, and that is going to get even stronger. It's going to get really strong by the last day of our CIRF week. And we only have 3 planets in Gemini, so it's not like all this stuff is coming from just Gemini, but it is a big factor. The air includes Pluto, which is in Aquarius. So Sunday the 2nd, this is where we have Jupiter and Pluto exact. And I'm sorry, this is the trine is exact. So let me place that. Jupiter, and there's all these planets, Mercury and Uranus are also conjunct, but Jupiter's the only one that is in the air sign, and Pluto's being in air. And I'm not saying it doesn't apply to Mercury and Uranus, but I'm just really focusing on this Jupiter-Pluto trine, and will include Mercury later. But it's the channel of higher wisdom that penetrates the veil of illusion to reveal a deeper truth that can liberate humanity. That's the Pluto in Aquarius. The power, this is very powerful and expansive in mind, this alignment, like a cosmic prophet. The quantum oracle receives downloads of advanced knowledge from the unified field of consciousness. Doesn't that sound just like we did with the Mercury and Uranus? Yes. The insights from higher levels. It's all related. It almost looks like the same picture, doesn't it? People in this alignment on Sunday the 2nd might feel profound insights and breakthroughs in consciousness, expansion of mental horizons, maybe a shattering of limiting beliefs, new possibilities, potential for mass awakening, and a quantum leap in human consciousness. It's all threaded together. Wait till you hear about Mercury. Mercury is returning home. Mercury now enters at 2:36 a.m. Central Time on Monday, June 3rd. And immediately starts this, well, it's already conjunct with Jupiter, but now they're in the same sign, means even more. It's more congruent. Mercury enters its home sign of Gemini, amplifying its natural powers of communication. And the party's already started with Sun, Venus, Jupiter are already there. And so the party has already begun. And now the ruler or the host, Mercury, enters the scene. This is the same picture I used in the energy window, but he's the master of mental agility, wordcraft, intellectual alchemy. He possesses an insatiable curiosity, an uncanny ability to see patterns and connect the dots. Someone who might be, let's say, hypothetically born on Monday the 3rd, they would be much heightened mental clarity, very good at verbal and written communication, increased ability to multitask and think on their feet, and a whole lot more expanded curiosity. On Tuesday the 4th, this is really, remember that graph, this is where SuperMind really comes in. And the 3 players are Mercury, Jupiter in a almost perfect conjunction. It's just past conjunction. but it's this trine over to Pluto. But there's the bigger alignment here. The conjunction is Sun and Venus. They're in a perfect conjunction here at 10:33 on 4th of June. And so you put those together, we have the Gemini wedding of mind and heart. The dynamic synergy weaves together energies of love, self-expression, communication, expansive learning, especially with Mercury and Jupiter together. It's a dance of intellectual and emotional alchemy. It invites a playful, curious approach to relationships and self-discovery, where the boundaries between the pursuit of knowledge and the pursuit of love become delightfully blurred. And created within domain of mind, this wedding illuminates the path of personal growth and interpersonal connection, the interplay of ideas and affections, reason and romance, and combines wit and warmth. So don't miss out on this rare union of wisdom and love in service to the soul's awakening. And where does the soul's awakening come from? That trine, very, very tight trine over to Pluto. Pluto's in Aquarius. So it brings in awakenings. It brings in collective concern and all the disclosures, truth be told from Aquarius. It's the rising of the power of the complete mind. Mercury, the lower mind, the rational mind, Jupiter, the higher wisdom mind. Those are together both in azimuth and inclination, and this trine over to Pluto brings in the power of the supermind. So there you have I-Ching 46. Wednesday the 5th. Look at this backdrop. It is nothing but, or very little, but mutable 7, air 6, so it's mutable air. That's a huge amount of Gemini backdrop. And at this point, when we leave our day, the moon still has just a little bit left before its new moon. So we're looking at the morning of Thursday is going to be our new moon, but that's the next CIRF report. For now, we have one more thing to talk about in the influence, and it's the I-Ching pushing upward. The emphasis is on upward motion with growth that is supported by adaptability and an absence of obstacles. Gosh, that's so Gemini. Adaptability. Line 2, though, specifically, you may have limited resources, but if you are sincere, your efforts will be appreciated. This changing line suggests that things are in the process, that the point are in process that point to success and advancement, the kind of advancement that grows out of an inner strength of character rather than some material advantage. So you can see how we've shifted to more of an external and sensory in Taurus into a mental, internal locus of control. A little more help in deciphering this I-Ching. Things aren't moving quickly, but you can see steady upward progress. There are movements when you feel a bit stuck or like it's not moving as fast as you'd like. Hint, this is the waning crescent moon phase after the last quarter moon. So that's integrated into that line. All right. Let's summarize the influence. And we've got this picture of the supermind. The shift towards mutable air gets into high gear as the major alignments relate to and originate from Gemini. It will feel mentally uplifting, insightful, and cognitively expansive. All week, there will be periodic flashes of insight, and truths revealed will trend towards liberating humanity. Thank you, Pluto. Interpersonal synergy is expanded and feels much more genuine and natural. Thank you, Venus, Sun, and then Jupiter and Mercury. The air is mixed with curiosity and discernment, but more importantly, the wisdom of the heart ignites the soul's awakening with the rise of the Quantum-SuperMind. All right, so obviously very mental, cognitive. Let's get into the solution now. And we have 15, humility. Modesty begins with self-awareness. Remember, we're looking for behaviors in all this text. And these are the behaviors I found. Modesty begins with self-awareness. So being self-aware, the mental side of things should help this. Acknowledging both our strengths and weaknesses to stay grounded and focused on continuous improvement. That really is the essence of, or partly the essence of the waning crescent phase of the lunar cycle. It's about not doing a lot and spending more time reflecting, learning from the past 3 weeks, assessing what you did well, what you didn't do well, and commitments for the future. But it's all a very mental process. Not a whole lot of yang physical output. Avoiding arrogance is also essential. Practice restraint and patience, taking the time to thoroughly understand situations before acting. Let your actions be guided by integrity. This really confirms to me that the I-Ching grasps the all things considered. If we just go with this strength of mind and Gemini and Mercury, then we miss the whole behavioral component of the last quarter. You don't want to be doing a bunch of stuff. You want to be reflecting. So here's our conversion chart. This is basically the Venus Cazimi at the exact point. It's in hexagram 35 of the Rave, and it's in Sidereal Taurus. And this is really interesting. The line is for hunger, and it's a hunger, the insatiable appetite for progress. But, so this almost, when I first started reading it, was like, uh-oh, here we go again. The drive, we got to keep on going. But listen, symbolized by the phases of the moon. The appetite for progress is symbolized by the phases of the moon. The drive may be obsessive when the moon is full. It's not. It's the last quarter moon. But like fading of the moon, the obsession abates. So we're going to, according to the Rave, be at the moment of the Mercury Cazimi, we're going to be feeling much less of that obsession of doing things and getting things going, but instead doing what we need to be doing, which is of the last quarter moon. That's brilliant. I can't believe that it's that refined, but it is. So here's our solution. We have the I-Ching, humility. We've got the tools here where we're not there anymore. We're not doing things anymore. We're going to be doing a lot of mental things. The obsession for progress abates, and we're looking for the behaviors around that. You can see the bulls or sidereal Taurus are can be lazy if they want to and just hang out and chew their cud, and that would also be good. Last quarter in the waning crescent. So put it all together. It is finally time to sit down and chew on what has transpired over the last 3 weeks. We've been pressured, we've been challenged, questioned, and shocked. The triangulation this week is tight and congruent. Using humility and modesty, notice your hunger of progress starting to take a break. Therefore, lay down and enjoy nature. Ground yourself deeply while you reflect, assimilate, review, appraise, and appreciate what you've been through in the past 3 weeks. The waning crescent moon encourages us to rejuvenate and build up our depleted energy levels. This is a great week for spa, a massage, maybe a relaxing vacation. Remember, Taurus, you want to activate your senses. You want to ground in the real world. Yes, while you are assimilating things in mind. This will help that assimilation process. And maybe kicking back with people you absolutely love, especially with the Venus Cazimi in Gemini. All of us task-oriented people should suck it up and put our tools down and go kick back with our tribe. It's yin time, folks. There's our picture, putting the tools down. I am one of those task-oriented people, so I find these last quarter moons and waning crescent moon periods to be somewhat challenging for me because my mind's always active. Always, what's next? What do I got to be doing? It doesn't mean you can't do stuff during this lunar cycle, but you really expand your horizons and you are much more balanced when you aren't trying to be doing a bunch of big projects during the last quarter phase or the waning crescent phase of the moon, and really start taking care of yourself and rejuvenating, getting your energy level back, but also storing it up and getting it ready for the next cycle. The new moon will be in Gemini, tropical Gemini. So take advantage of this week. You only get 1 week, and then it's back to the kind of do after we get into the new moon and the first quarter moon. But here's your week. We've all been complaining about just get this massive energy. Yeah, the energy will be up here in mind. I don't think this will be all that motivational into behaviors. And I think the moon, the way it's structured, especially in Pisces in the last quarter moon when it kicks off, should be relaxing. It should be sort of wading through water where we can think easily in water, but it's sure hard to do things in water. So if you elect to go do a bunch of stuff in this last phase, it'll probably take longer and feel heavier. So take care of yourself, rejuvenate, spend a lot of time in your mind, but not if it's tragic and traumatized. Especially if you can, reflect on maybe the last 3 weeks, what have transpired, very applicable to me in my experience, but not in a judgment sort of way, in a learning sort of way. That's the Gemini Quantum-SuperMind, is you get the gift of replaying, but in a way to help you achieve a better life, better behaviors, better goals, more, how about less regret and more satisfaction? All those things can be obtained this week. So do what you can to put your tools down, especially if you're one of those task-oriented people, and relax. Relax. While you're relaxing, contemplating. Quantum-SuperMind. Enjoy, everybody. I appreciate you being here, and I look forward to sharing some time next week in the next Surf Report. See you guys. Namaste.